Welcome back to Painting Delight. It's so nice to see you again, and today I thought we'll do a very nice mountain scene with a big mountain ridge, some very nice playful clouds in the sky, and probably some nice grassy areas followed with a big bush and probably some nice evergreen trees. So let's get off immediately. I have already covered the canvas with a thin even coat of liquid white, so we're ready to start. And I want to start with a little bit of pale blue on the 2-inch brush. And to that I'm gonna add the least little amount of midnight black. So it's pale blue and midnight black. And let's go up here, and I'm gonna do some nice crisscross strokes. And I'm leaving some open spaces here because we're gonna come back and blend all these. And I want to have some nice indications of faraway clouds probably. And as you can see, the color is mixing with the liquid white, so there are a lot of different things happening in the sky. And it's very important to brush mix the colors here. And we keep blending until we have the desired effect. Always using crisscross strokes. And as you can see, there are some spaces in here that are like faraway clouds. And you have hardly done a thing. And now, very, very gently go across the whole area. And this actually removes the brush marks from our sky. Alright. Let's take a fan brush. I'm gonna use a number 6 fan brush today. Let's take some titanium white. And it's very important to load the brush full of color. Lots of paint. You can also take a least little amount of bright red to this. Just a little bit more. But be very careful with it, because it's very, very strong. And I only want a nice pinkish glow in the sky here today. So let's make some nice fluffy clouds. I'm gonna take the corner of the brush and just make some very nice circles here. And try to paint one cloud at a time, and then we'll come back and blend them. So we have made the basic shape here, and then take a clean and dry 2-inch brush, and using just the corner, just the top of the brush, just blend the bottom of it without touching the top at all. And by the time we have the liquid white on, it's very easy to blend all these and create a very realistic cloud effect. Blend it, remove any excess paint that you might have gotten, and then flout the cloud with big circular patterns, big circular strokes. And now there could be some streaks on top of the cloud, but don't be afraid of them, because we're going to remove the paint from the brush and then very, very gently go across, and this will go away. And that's easily you have a very nice effective cloud that's way back in the distance. And if you want, you can return to your white with some of the bright red and put another layer of clouds here. Just make sure you have a little bit of dark and softened area in between your clouds, so we achieve more layers, so more depth. And now take the corner of your brush. Always keep moving, it's very important to keep moving and make circular patterns. I'm gonna use both the sides of my brush here, and you can also come here and make a streaky cloud if you want. And it's always the same thing with clouds. You can also use the 2-inch brush, the 1-inch brush, and the round brush also makes fantastic clouds for you. So when we're having a streaky cloud, we would just use this side of the brush to blend it. It's very, very easy. Lift it up, but very gently, be very, very gentle with it. And just go above the whole cloudy area, very, very gently. And you know what, let's put another layer. I want another layer in my painting. It's titanium white and a little amount of bright red. And the bright red is here only to add interest and that some light is playing through the clouds, okay? So let's have another one. Just make some circles. Add a little bit more paint. You can always come back and add more paint in whatever you do. You know, it's completely up to you. Just make some nice clouds here. Okay. Blend the bottom as always. Only using the top corner of the brush. And make sure your brush is very, very dry for this, because if you have a dirty and wet brush, you're gonna ruin your clouds, you're gonna end with mud, and we really don't want that. So very, very quickly in here we have achieved a very nice sky with lots of depth and lots of interest. And can you see the layers of the clouds? This happened because we saved the areas in between. And it's very important to keep the brush moving, make circular strokes all the time. Okay, I want to have 2 layers of mountain here today in my painting. Let's make a traditional mountain for the start. I'm going to take some of this white. It doesn't matter if we have a little bit of red here. I'm going to have some white, some Prussian blue, and a little bit of midnight black. I want a grayish kind of blue here. I'm using a number 10 knife, so we pull the paint very, very flat on our palette and then cut across, and here's a nice roll of paint. So let's save some of this cloud area. I'm gonna come in here and let's decide where we want our mountain to be. I want this to be very, very far away. Very far away. I want lots of depth here today. I kind of want this painting to be like we are in a clearing somewhere behind some bushes and we're just following and we're just watching a very nice scene with big mountains, big clouds and some nice grassy area, and here we'll see about that. Now let's say I'm gonna use the same brush I did the sky with, it really doesn't matter. And I'm gonna pull this and blend it. This way we remove more of the loose paint that there is on the canvas, so the next layer will be applied easier. And we also achieve this nice misty effect in the bottom of the mountain. You can use the one brush for that. Okay. Now I'm gonna use my small knife. This is a number 5 knife. Let's take some titanium white, but not a lot of paint today for that, and cut off a small roll of paint. Now we'll come up here and using no pressure at all, and you have to lift your palette knife a little bit, so we just touch here and just let it float. No pressure at all, it's very, very important. And it's very important to have a very firm and dry paint for this. Let's put some nice highlights in our mountains. But remember that I don't want a lot of paint because I don't want a lot of details. Because the closer we are, the more details we have, and this is supposed to be far away. Okay, let's have a little bit of snow in here too. And maybe it will come in here and down a little valley. Okay, let's take some titanium white and a little amount of phthalo blue. Very small amount of blue because we're still far away, so the colors are very light. So the closer you are, the more darkness you see, the more shadows. Let's add a little bit more. Just add a little at a time. Okay, mix this thoroughly. Pull this out very flat as we always do. And cut off our roll of paint. It's very important to spread your paint on the palette, on your palette, because this way it's easier to roll that kind of paint on the edge of the knife, okay? So we apply the shadows the same way with no pressure. Just follow the angle of the mountain. And always remember that each shadow requires their own private. Each highlight requires its own private shadow. It's very important. And you need a firm paint and adding no pressure. This is what's most important for that. And just keep practicing. I want to do a lot of mountains in this season. This is our second season. I really hope you have enjoyed the first one. Now coming back here and adding some more snow. And I come back to my shadow color. It's phthalo blue and titanium white. Okay. You know, maybe we have a little valley in here. Let's go back to the titanium white. And there's a nice valley down here. Just let your knife be playful and come down here like this. Just very lightly. And you know, most people are using their finger on the blade, so this way they add more pressure and they cannot control their knife. So it's very important to hold your knife lightly. Just whisper like this. And as you can see, it's very easy to make this paint to break by adding no pressure. And some private shadows here. And we have a nice mountain back in the distance. Now we want some mist on the bottom of this, so just take the 2-inch brush and following the angle of the mountain, I want to tap some mist in here. Now lift this like we did earlier, always following the angle of the mountain. Now if you want some mist on the shadow area, just do the same thing. But don't add a lot of pressure to that. We want some nice soft misty areas. And that's all we have to do for our background mountain. Now I'm gonna go back to my big knife and gonna darken this color a little bit. Gonna take some Prussian blue and some midnight black. There's also some white in here. I'm gonna add a little amount of Van Dyke brown to that, and maybe a little bit of crimson. A little bit more black. Just darken it a little bit. I added no white because right now we're coming closer to the one that sees the painting, so we want a more distinct color. Always remember to load our knife properly. Now I want a big ridge of mountains here. I want to save some of these clouds here, so let's come from this way. Just make a basic shape. Use lots of pressure for that. Just use a lot of pressure and make sure you scrape off all the excess paint from here, because this will help us put on the next layer of clouds easier, the next layer of paint, I'm sorry. Just think of a basic shape of a mountain. This is the only thing you want to worry about at this point, because later on we're gonna worry about the inside. Right now we only want the outside. And now we'll come right in front of the big mountain. Make sure you shave this little bit of misty area here. Just come this way. And a little bit more paint. And as you can see, there is hardly a lot of paint on the canvas. We only worry about the outside shape. Remove all the excess. And we have also saved our cloudy area. Okay, now we're gonna take the big brush again, and now we usually just pull and follow the angles of the mountain, so we're gonna do the same here, but by the time this mountain is different to the other, we want to pull downwards mostly. Always follow the angle of your mountain. Just using the 2-inch brush, you can use whatever brush you want for that. But I highly recommend you get used to these big brushes, because they can do fantastic things for you and very quickly. And as you can see, we see more paint here on top compared to the bottom, because on the bottom of each mountain we have a lot of mist, and we really want that for our painting to be more realistic. Just pull some paint here. Very nice misty effect on the bottom, as you can see. And this happens because we have the liquid white. By the time we have the right amount of liquid white on the canvas, and then we have very firm paints, we can move the paints and create fantastic effects in just a couple of minutes. This is the whole meaning of this technique, and that's why I'm here for you, to show you technique. And if you have any problems regarding this technique, I'd love you to leave a comment, send me a message on Facebook or anything. I'm always here for you to give you help. So we have a very nice background to play with. Let's return to our big knife. We're going to take some titanium white. Let's add the little amount of midnight black to that, but not much, just a small amount. And leave your paint like marble, like this. It's very nice, because you're gonna have lots of different effects on your snow. So a little roll of paint, and let's come up here and very lightly just add some snow in here. Not a lot of paint though. Just decide where you want your snow to be and your highlights. Just pull down. And it's the same philosophy, no pressure at all. And now in here we're gonna have our shadow, so we want to leave this area open. And this is gonna add lots of depth and interest to our painting. Let's come in here too. As you can see, I'm adding no pressure. Very gently. and you actually do the same thing. This is a different kind of mountain I would like you to try. It's a nice challenge. Some more painting here. And let's come this way. Maybe there's a nice peak in here. And maybe there's another one that comes right here. As you can see, with just a touch, you can have a very nice effect. I'll shake it here a little bit and add another layer. Maybe there is another nice peak in here. Okay, let's add the shadows now. We want them distinctly darker because we are forward, so we're gonna take some of the white, some more phthalo blue this time, and a little bit of black, maybe even a little bit of Van Dyke brown. I want to gray it down a little bit. Maybe a little bit more black. Pull the paint very flat as always, and cut off your little roll of paint. Pull out flat and cut across, okay? So let's start from here. So very, very gently. Even in here in the small areas. Like this. And we don't want a lot of changes to the mountain color because there are a lot of shadows in here. Just pull this nicely. As you can see, I used less paint in here because I actually want to push this back in the painting. And you know, it's very interesting to come back with some white. This is titanium white and a little bit of midnight black. So you can come back and add another peak probably. And this pushes this area back. Just like so. Back to the shadow color. Just pull down a little bit, but not much paint. And some more paint in here. Same thing behind every highlight. And I like having big shadowed areas because that means the mountain has character. Just add a little amount of paint here and there. Okay, so we have a nice ridge of mountain here. I'm gonna use the twins brush again to mist the bottom. If you are picking lots of paint, you can just remove it on a paper towel, beat your brush in the bitter rag. I just want some nice areas of mist on the bottom of this mountain. Just tap softly, and only the bottom. We don't want to go higher than this. Now lift all this up, remove the torque marks, and we are finished here. And that easily we have a nice layered mountain ridge. Okay. I'm gonna use a dirty brush here. I'm gonna go into some Van Dyke brown. Let's add a piece of land. This is Van Dyke brown, some sap green maybe, and some Prussian blue. Just tap a little bit of paint on the brush, and let's decide the lay of the land. So we're gonna let's come here, and by the time we're still far away, we want less dark. As you can see, it's I don't want to be a straight line in here, I just want some character. So just tap with a 2-inch brush. And today I want to do a lot of practice on the strokes. I want to practice lots of different strokes here and there. I want to paint a lot of grass, a lot of bushes. I think it will be helpful for you. So let's darken the color here a little bit, because every time we come closer and closer, some nice land areas. I'm gonna add a little bit more of the Prussian blue, some midnight black. Always remember to layer the painting. It's very important. And we are, as you can see already, more dark in here. Maybe a little bit more color. And to be honest, I just tap very softly. As you can see, I'm just loading some paint, some more. And I brush mix the colors because I want a lot of things happening here in the ground. So just very gently tap. Some nice foothills that are very close to us, and we're gonna add lots of nice grassy areas now. Come back and fix whatever you don't like. It's always important, it's always important to step back and see what you have in a painting. So for instance, I'm going back and I think we're doing pretty well. We don't have a straight line here, we just have lots of nice foothills. So we're doing quite well. And if you want to defer the colors or the season, is completely up to you. That's why I never put what colors I'm using on any description. So I'm gonna use the same brush now and go into some cadmium yellow. I'm using the same brush, and by the time we have dark colors here, it will be very easy to have a very nice yellow color. And I'm gonna dip my brush into just a drop of paint thinner. Make sure you have very small amount of paint thinner. And I only do this to thin the color a little bit, so it sticks easier. Now we're just pushing in here. We have a very nice roll of paint on the palette that is actually on top of the knife of the brush too, so we just push, okay? Make sure you push. Load quite a bit of paint here. So we start from the further away, and with very smooth strokes, we're just gonna paint a little bit of grass in here. And the more you tap, the softer it gets. Gonna add a little bit more yellow. I want to be distinct for you to see. Some nice grassy areas here and there. A little bit more yellow. Very gently. And as you can see, we have to layer the grass. We always layer our things here. Can you see the difference? Can you see the little dark area in here? That means that there is another layer of foothills back there. And just tap very easily. Some more color. And if you think that your paint is not sticking well on the canvas, just add a drop of paint thinner. And it's also very important to tap lightly, have a firm paint underneath, so you don't end up with mud. Just follow the lay of the land here and paint some nice grassy areas. Gonna add a little bit of sap green to that, a little bit of paint thinner, but not very much, not much. And I only put the green here because we're coming closer, so we want a little bit of change here in my color. Just layer after layer, it's very important. And you can also use the Wands brush for that. It's very nice, but I think the Twins has more hair, it's bigger, so you do this quicker and more effectively. So can you see the different layers we have in here? Can add some yellow ochre, some Indian yellow, a little bit more of the sap green. Just here and there. Okay. Now let's mix up a color. I want some dark color to carry on. Gonna clean my palette from all these. I don't have much paint left anyway. So let's take, I want a lot of paint, let's take some black. This is Midnight Black, Prussian Blue, a little bit more black, Van Dyke Brown, Alizarin Crimson, and some sap green. Lots of sap green here, maybe some more black, some more paint in general. I want to have a very nice dark area with bushes and trees. Okay. Let me clean my knife now. And let's use a big, let's take this brush. I'm gonna pull through the paint like this, and as you can see, I'm just pulling into the paint, bending the bristles. So we have a lot of color, and we have a very nice round edge here, as you can see. And this is how we paint the bushes with. I'm gonna add the shadows first, as we always do. And let's make this higher. I want a very nice clearing here. Load some paint. And it's very important to add lots of paint here because we need some dark shadows. And once again, I'm using the Twins brush because it's bigger and much faster. And this is another kind of strokes I want to practice for you today. We just push and bend the bristles, as you can see. We're just bending. And it's very important not to let your brush slide. Just push and go away. And do the same here. And if you want, you can make this place here higher. You can always change your mind, come back and fix whatever you don't like that easily. Okay, some more paint. And we use a lot of pressure for that, lots of pressure. And as you can see, we have layered all these basic bush shapes. It's very important. So this will make the application of the highlights much easier. Okay, you know, I want to have some evergreens here today. I'm gonna collect the color from here. Let's make some more color, some more black, some more blue, Van Dyke brown, alizarin crimson, and sap green. Maybe some more sap green. Just a lot of dark color. Okay. And for that today I want to use the small fan brush. I'm gonna use a number 3 fan brush. So all this time we have been showing how to do evergreens by pushing downwards. So let's do the opposite today. Let's push upwards. It's gonna be a little bit more interesting, different. But always load the brush full of paint. It's very important. So let's come up here and just decide where you want your tree to be. Have a straight line, load the brush, and now just using the corner of the brush, as you can see, I just pull upwards. Just pull. We do exactly the same thing. You know, in here, if you have problem making your paint stick, you can either add some paint thinner, but right now I just want to remove the excess paint. As you can see, we have a little bit of paint here, and this will make it easier for you. And you can always come back and load your brush, there is nothing wrong with that. And it's exactly the same logic, just push upwards. It's something like a Christmas tree, what do you think? It's very nice, very effective. It's something different. And let's paint a couple. I want you to practice for that. Let's have another one, maybe a smaller one here. I'm gonna use the corner. It's exactly the same thing as we did with the other evergreens, but we just push upwards. You know, I think this type of evergreens is much easier because you don't have this basic line to worry for the evergreens like the one we do in the past. Let's have another one. Love painting evergreens. A lot of paint in the brush. And you can also use a number 6 fan brush for that. I just wanted number 3 today to make more delicate trees for you to see. Lots of paint, lots of pressure. More pressure as you're going downwards. And let's go to the other side now. Let's have a big one. Let's have a big one. Oh, my clouds. Let's go in here. Don't worry about it. I don't have a sturdy hand anyway, so let's push upward. Right in front of the mountain. Reload my brush. A big evergreen tree. Big strong tree here. And maybe he wants company. Let's build him a friend. You've heard this before. So let's come in here. And always use the corner of the brush. Okay, that's great. Let's add now the tree trunks. I'm going to use the big knife. I'm going to take some white, not a lot of white, and some dark sienna, cut off a very small roll of paint, And we've done the same thing lots of times, scratching the top, then touch and pull, touch and pull. And as you go downwards, we want to pull a little bit more, so we have a bigger trunk, because the trunk is bigger in the bottom compared to the top. Just like so. Do the same thing here. Okay. And now for the highlights, I'm gonna take the same brush and a little amount of paint thinner and go to some cadmium yellow. Lots of yellow, lots of paint, a small amount of paint thinner. And by the time we have dark colors on the brush, it's easy to achieve a very nice dirty green color. So let's come up here and do the same thing. Just touch lightly. And we have some nice leaf indications. Remember where your light source is. And make sure you bend the brush. It's most important to bend the bristles. Very nice. And the same here. And also the big tree. Okay, let's have a big tree in here, big trunk or something. But you know, first of all, I've changed my mind. You know, it's very nice because you can always come back, change your mind, see something. So I'm gonna put a layer of bushes first, then a tree trunk, maybe a big tree here, and then come forward because I layer the painting, I see things, and that's how we're gonna enjoy our session. So I'm gonna go into some paint thinner with a 1-inch brush, and you're gonna use a lot of paint here for that. Take some sap green, cadmium yellow, and a lot of paint. Some Indian yellow probably. And we load the brush the same way we did with the 1-inch brush, with the 2-inch brush, I'm sorry. So let's come up here and have a big bush, now gently touching. It's very important to touch softly. Let's have another one. Gonna defer the colors a bit, some yellow ochre, some bright red. And if you can't stick the paint to the canvas, just add a little bit of paint thinner. Or you can also use liquid white, but liquid white is gonna dilute the color, and I don't prefer it when I'm painting green bushes, for example. Gonna add Indian yellow here. Just try to paint one bush at a time. Let's come in here, the big one. Always remember to go slightly above the dark. Gonna add a little bit more paint thinner. And let's come in here, maybe a small bush, maybe another one. Some dark color here and there. There is a big one. And it's very important to paint bushes with a 1-inch brush, to have a lot of paint, and also touch slightly with not a lot of pressure. So we add a lot of pressure when painting the dark areas and very little pressure when painting our highlights. Maybe we can't see a lot of this bush here. And always remember to change your colors, go through the greens and the yellows, even blue and black. So now I have a very nice first layer of bush in here. Now let's put a big tree. Let's go into some Van Dyke brown, some dark sienna. This is a fun brush, you can use whatever brush you want. Load a lot of paint. And let's come up here. So we have a very nice tree. You know, I want to put another one. I really enjoy doing this. Maybe we have... Maybe we'll go to this side, we have more space. So let's come right here. And as you go downwards, apply more pressure. Let's fix this one. I want it a little bit stronger. Like so. Gonna add another one. I want to save my clouds. I'm really excited about these clouds, so let's go in here. Wherever you want. It's your painting and you can do whatever you want. Just do things that you enjoy. I've had the best holidays in my life. Until yesterday, I only came back and I really had a great time. And I'm very excited to be back with you. So let's take some white here, some of the browns, maybe a little touch of yellow ochre to that, some more ochre. So we'll leave the paint marbly and just take a very small roll of paint. Let's add the highlights on the trunks. So just by touching like this. Just by touching we can have some very nice indication of the trunk. And when this dries, it's gonna really feel like real wood, you know? And you're hardly doing a thing here, just touch with your palette knife. Okay, let's go to the other tree. And you know, you have to load the brush properly to make the trunk because you do not have a lot of paint. You're gonna drag some of this white from the mountain and probably even ruin your bushes and stuff. And in here in the knife I don't have a lot of paint anyway. Just touch. And let's go to the other side. Always remember your light source. So in here we only have light from the right, nothing to worry about. I think this is quite an easy painting with just deferring the basic techniques a little bit, so it will probably be a challenge for some of you. Here I just carry on touching. This is titanium white, Van Dyke brown, dark sienna and yellow ochre. You can also add a little bit of bright red if you want. Okay, now let's make a shadow color. I'm gonna take some more white, a little bit of phthalo blue and some of my browns again, a little bit more blue. Always leave it marbly, maybe some more brown. And do the same thing. Just reverse your knife and just touch. It's probably my favorite way of painting this kind of trees. And it's not that difficult, you just need to hold your knife correctly. And let's go in here too. just touching here. And do the same thing in here too. This is just touching. It's very important not to let your knife to slide here, because you're gonna end up with a blob of paint on your tree, and I don't think you will want that. Okay, now I'm gonna take a little amount of brown and bring this all together. Just see here. Just here and there touch. Can you see the difference? This brings it all together. Just touch with a little bit of Van Dyke Brown, Dark Sienna. You can even use Midnight Black if you want. I'm gonna do the same in here. Okay. Now I want to have some nice limbs here. I'm gonna take lots of paint thinner with my liner brush, lots of paint thinner. Very important to have a thin paint. And I'm gonna use a lot of paint. Just shake your brush in here, twist it, and bring it to a nice sharp point. As you can see, there is a lot of paint in here. So let's come up here and add some nice limbs, some nice sticks and twigs. And this here will add even more depth. It really pushes the evergreens back. Just bring some of your limbs in front. Some of the limbs in front of the evergreen. A little bit more paint. And always remember that if your paint won't flow, just add some more paint thinner. You can also use liquid clear if you want. You can use linseed oil. I just prefer paint thinner because I already have a lot of things around here on my easel, so I'll just deal with the paint thinner. Let's go to the other side too. Let's add some nice limbs. Some more paint. And you know, I like setting things outside the canvas, so let's say that this one is just living. Okay. Now let's add another layer of bushes. But you know something? First of all, let's push this back, clear its foots. So let's have some nice stones. I don't want a path today. Let's have some stones. I'm gonna use the small knife, and let's use some Van Dyke Brown. Cut off a roll of paint, and let's have a nice big stone here. It's the same way you do the mountains. Just a little bit more paint. Just wherever you want. It's gonna be something different. Let's have another big stone here. It's like painting small mountains, but just don't scrape off the excess paint. Some more brown. Let's have a big stone in here. Okay, I'm gonna put another layer later on, so let's go to the highlight. I'm gonna take the same color that I use on the trees, but just add a little bit of black to that. A little bit more black, a little bit more brown. And you see the variations of colors here. So let's come here and very, very gently add the highlights. Be very, very gentle here. Just the same way we did with the mountains. A little bit more highlight. Okay, let's return to the ones brush with the green on it. Don't add the least little amount of paint thinner. Just very small amount. And just play through my colors here. So let's go in here and just put some grass, some nice bushes. And can you see that we actually pushed our stone back? It's very, very easy to do and adds a lot of interest. More sub green in here, some more yellow ochre. Gonna add a little amount of paint in here. Some more paint, some more soft green. Let's come in here, make a nice green bush. Some Indian yellow, some bright red. Now let's come here. And you know we can let's make a red bush here. Can you see the difference? Remove some of the excess red, return to my yellow. Let's have some nice bushes here. A big bush comes from this way. Now let's have a couple more stones. No, I just enjoy doing them. Let's do another one. Van Dyke brown. I have a big stone. One day this will become a big mountain like the one in the background. You can also use a brush for this if you want. Let's have a big in here. Some more color. Okay. And now I'll return to my highlight color. Not the same way we do with the mountains. Nothing changes, we're just doing this in a smaller area. Just some paint. Very, very gently apply the highlights. And you know, I just prefer using the knife in these kind of stoves because I think they are more realistic, more exciting to see. It's completely up to you. Let's bring some grass in front of this. You know, I just don't want some of my stones in here to seem like floating in the dark. I just want to bring this all together, so make sure you have lots of nice bushes and leaves in front of them. Let's come here. Have a big bush. Gonna add some yellow ochre. Maybe there is a bush that's coming right in front of this. And another one in here. Always remember to save dark areas in between. Vary the colors from time to time. let's push this back, it's nice. And by the time we have this thinner paint on the brush, it's very easy to just stick it on top of this small one. Right, so let's step back a little bit. Well, to be honest, I'm satisfied with the result. You can put some leaves on these trees if you want, but I prefer them to be bare. So let's scratch in a few sticks and twigs. This will add a lot of interest to the bushy areas. Just here and there. And you know, the fascinating things about all this is that you can carry on adding more and more things. But what I want to do here is just show you the technique. For instance, you can add some leaves on these trees, on the trunks. You can add more of these trees in the front and just push everything back. It's so fascinating to do. But I won't stop here for today. I had a great time with you. I really hope you enjoyed today's session, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you again next time. So until we meet again, happy painting, take care, and I'll see you soon.